Expo. Stay with us, you're watching What Now? The killing of the leader of Mexico's major criminal cartel has led to a wave of violence across the country. 59-year-old Temeso Seguera Cervantes, also known as El Mencho, was notorious for trafficking fentanyl, methamphetamine, and cocaine into the United States and orchestrating attacks against government officials. El Mencho was killed in a shootout in his home state of Jalisco, as the Mexican military moved in to apprehend him. When the news of the operation spread, a coordinated retaliatory wave of violence erupted through the country, reportedly reaching at least 20 of Mexico's 32 states. Suspected members of the organized groups touched buses and businesses, creating roadblocks across the republic. The U.S. Embassy in Mexico has issued a security alert to its citizens in Jalisco, Tamaulipas, Michoacan, Guerrero, and Nuevo Leon, and asking them to stay indoors. Now, for an overview of the crisis in Mexico, Global Affairs analyst Dr. Jide Ojo joins me from Abuja. Good to have you join us, Dr. Jide.
It's my pleasure, Precious. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Is this good news for Mexico? What does El Mencho's death mean for the battle against organized crime in that country?
Yeah, it's good news for the Mexicans. Don't forget that Donald Trump has been breathing down their neck. He's placed a $15 million bounty on El Mencho for anyone that can volunteer information about his, that can lead to his arrest. There are insinuations that the U.S. government provided the intelligence that led to his attempted capture, firefight, and eventual death. And this is not just a good news for Mexicans, it's also good news for America. Don't forget also that part of the grounds that previous and current American presidents have against Mexico is because its borders have been letting in drug from Mexico, aside from the migrants, which led to Donald Trump promising to build a fence across the southern border with Mexico. And so it's a heartwarming news for the Mexican government, heartwarming news for the importation or exportation of hard drugs from Mexico to U.S. However, it's a double-edged sword. We've seen the pushback from the members of the Mencho's cartel, which has led to about over 20 deaths among the National Guards. So they have promised to avenge his death. Like you said in the intro, in 20 out of 32 states, there have been unrest since Sunday night when his death made the news. But I think the U.S. president, the Mexican president, has promised that they will not relent. The army, the Mexican army, will not relent until they see the dismantling of this drug cartel, which has given Mexico very negative, bad image on the world map.
Dr. Joe, if I may come in here, just because you mentioned President Trump, President Obama has been going after drug cartels since he took office. But because you mentioned President Trump, I'm wondering if this latest move is to appease to him when you consider what happened in Venezuela.
Exactly, that's what I was insinuating. Don't forget that after the capture of the Venezuelan president and his wife, Donald Trump did say that the next on his list is Mexico, Colombia, Cuba, and Greenland, which is a territory of Denmark. So in that order, Mexico was top on his list, and the grounds he has against Mexico was basically that they are letting in a lot of narcotics from their country to U.S. And though this is a temporary victory in my own estimation, because someone like a Mencho who has been on the wanted list for some time will possibly have a deputy, and they will have had an arrangement who is to take over in the eventual death of a Mencho. So it's a matter of time before they want to regroup. So this have to be sustained. I know that news reporters that over 30 members of the Mencho's drug cartel have been neutralized since Sunday. But we know that drug laws have hundreds, if not thousands, on their
And Dr. Joe,
membership.
apologies for butting in because you're sort of touching the point that I wanted to make. Because getting the leader is one thing, but dismantling the organization is another. And I'm wondering what happens next, considering the ability of some of these cartels. They're almost like, terrorist organizations that have the ability to restructure and regroup quickly.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, that because narcotic space is a very lucrative trade that yield multi-million dollars, if not multi-billion dollar rewards. So you don't think that because you have taken their leader, that they are just going to disarm and become innocent, normal citizens. They are going to regroup. It's just like what has happened, like you said. It's like when Osama bin Laden was killed by the U.S. government. That did not see to the end of Taliban, or even all the Boko Haram leaders, all the ISWAP leaders that have been neutralized in Nigeria. The more I think there was a Shekarau who was always making announcements on behalf of Boko Haram. When eventually he got killed, that has not stopped the activities of Boko Haram or ISWAP in Nigeria. So it's just going to be a temporary victory unless there are structural emplacements to dismantle this drug cartel. Like by their nature, cartels are very regimented organization with hierarchies, with even people in government that will belong to the cartel who possibly have been leaking information, which has made the arrest of Mencho difficult over the years. So it's not yet Uhuru, even though this is worth celebrating, both by the US government and by the Mexican government, but they need to do a lot more to take these people out of business. As I said earlier on, it's a very lucrative business. You know what this has even done to a country like Guinea-Bissau, which is in our West African sub-region. The infiltration, how they have also by and large, the point is that this is a conglomerate. It's not just in Mexico. They have their tentacles in Colombia, in several other countries where they engage
Absolutely,
in.
Dr. Joe. It's a network of countries, perhaps why it's difficult to say you have gotten the leader and then you have dismantled the organization. But I wanted to ask you about President Sheinbaum's strategy, especially in coordinating with the U.S. Her strategy is we will coordinate with you, we shed intelligence, but our troops would do the groundwork. We do not want U.S. boots on the ground. What do you make of that? Dr. Joe, I want to confirm that we still have you.
Yes, yes, you have me.
All right, so I'm not sure you got my last question. I was asking you about the strategy of President Sheinbaum in coordinating with the U.S., allowing for intelligence sharing, but no boots on the ground.
Well, again, that's being strategic because U.S. doesn't want to lead the charge and got its fingers burned. Unlike the approach in Venezuela, they are taking a different approach here, leading from behind, just like what they are doing in Nigeria, trying to provide support, technical support, capacity building, and all of that. So I think it's very strategic, and they just need to sustain that relationship because, sincerely speaking, it's not going to be a tea party. Dismantling international network, they are just like terrorist organization, even though they are into trade and finance. And you could see how this issue of narcotics also lead to money laundering activities across the globe, how they recruit people, even within the government circles, who blow whistle on the government and even within the security sector. So this must be a sustained pressure for it to be meaningful.
Right.
And there is also the Mexican, I hope that they are able to bring this unrest, rein it in because of U.S. involvement in World Cup. You know, U.S. government and U.S., Mexico, and one other country are hosting
Absolutely.
the next World Cup. And otherwise, it will further the market.
All right, Dr. Joe, I have very limited time. I'm afraid we do have to leave it there. You were speaking to ensuring that this ends quickly because of the World Cup. Hopefully, it does. Thank you so much for your time. As always, Global Affairs Analyst, Dr. Judy Ojo.
It's my pleasure. Always.
All right, that's What Now today. Thank you so much for watching. Remember, for the international stories we're monitoring, you can visit